your man, Louie T. Welcome to Lockdown Coverage, week number 6 in the National Football League. And I guess you could say your man Louie T is saving the best for last. Excellent game out in the Pacific Northwest, or is it North Pacific West? I think it's Pacific Northwest. I'll get that right one day. In any event, the Seattle Seahawks, 3-1 on the season, hosting the 4-1 Atlanta Falcons in a whale of a ball game. Seattle Seahawks coming off of a bye week, playing good football. Falcons coming off of a dynamite performance over in Denver, beating the once undefeated Super Bowl champion, defending champion Denver Broncos, giving them their first loss of the season. And so the Atlanta Falcons were riding high coming into this game, winners of 4 straight, dominating the competition. This was going to be their steepest test of the season. How would they react? I'm going to get into this breakdown here in a second. But before we do, welcome to the Louie Tee Network. If this is your first time here, subscribe to the Louie Tee Network for more great content in 2016 and beyond. Also, if you're on Twitter, so am I. Follow me on Twitter. @InTheLabRoom is the Twitter handle. Go ahead and give your man Louie T a follow. I'm also on Facebook. In the Lab Room is the Facebook page. All of my social media platforms are up above, scrolling across the top of the screen. So make sure that you like the Facebook page. Make sure that you follow me on Twitter. Make sure that you subscribe to the YouTube channel. That being said, if you're watching this and you happen to be on Twitter at the same time, don't be afraid to use the hashtag LouieTeeLive to have your comment read at the end of this breakdown. Same can be said for the YouTube live discussion chat. Don't be afraid to use the hashtag LouieTeeLive to have your comment read at the end of this breakdown. So let's get into this football game, man. It was a doozy. It was a dandy. It was everything that we thought it was going to be and then some. And nothing can be what we think it's going to be without a little bit of controversy at the end. We'll get to that a little bit later on. But let's break this thing down. Likes, dislikes, banana in the tailpipe. We start with the road team in this game. Obviously, as we always do here in the Atlanta Falcons in their first half likes in this game. 4th-1 from the 41-yard line of the Seattle Seahawks. Scared money don't make money. We've seen this approach the last couple of weeks with Dan Quinn. Did it against the Denver Broncos early in that ball game, going for it on 4th and short and converting. Did it again here versus the Seattle Seahawks early in this ball game and converting the 4th and short and turning that into 3 points. That aggressive approach is going to win you a lot of ball games. And I'm not a huge analytics guy, but analytics says that on 4th-1, you should go for it more times than not, especially when you're on the opposite side of the field. You're in the opposing team's territory. 4th-1 is a very manageable down that you should go for more times than you punt or kick field goals on. So I'm all for 4th-1, rolling the dice. And the Falcons have been all about that. And if that's not who you are, then be who you are. If you're not an aggressive team, if your approach isn't rolling the dice and going for it on 4th down, then don't. But the aggressive teams in this league usually are the ones that win football games. Scared money don't make money. I've seen teams this season, particularly this season, I've watched teams closely, and the ones that decide it's a good idea to punt on 4th-1 from the other team's 41-yard line, those are the teams that generally lose football games this season. Derek Shelby and Keanu Neal with some big hits early in this game that showed me that the Falcons weren't scared. Now, I will say that the moment seemed a little big for them early in this game. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. But Derek Shelby, Seahawks are moving the football in that first possession. He gets into the backfield, makes a great play on 3rd-2, stopping the Seahawks for a 2-yard loss and forcing them to punt on that opening possession. Keanu Neal came up and laid the wood on the running back, Christian Michael. Keanu Neal was hitting folks in this game, and So was Earl Thomas. So were the Seahawks, period. And so we'll get to that in a second. But thought they came with their hard hat, man. And I saw a lot from this Falcons defense last week against the Denver Broncos. I saw even more from them this week in this game versus the Seattle Seahawks. First half likes for the Seattle Seahawks. Cliff Averill with the strip sack forced fumble of Matt Ryan, recovered by McDaniel, led to some points for the Seahawks in this game. Big play. Anytime you can get the football out. And it was a raucous environment. You could feel the energy at CenturyLink. And this was a big game for them. They understood the ramifications of what this could mean for seeding potentially down the road. They knew that the Falcons were coming in red hot. This felt like big-time football. The crowd energy, the energy that you got from the players playing in the game, especially the Seahawks early in this ball game, you could tell this was a big one. And I thought the Seahawks came out and played with that kind of intensity. And I didn't think that the Falcons necessarily matched that intensity early on in this ball game. Jimmy Graham, he's a man. That he was in this game in the first half, especially in the first half. He did some nice things in the second half as well, but Jimmy Graham was a stud in this game. And I've been seeing him start to come along in this Seahawks offense. They're getting more comfortable getting him the football. Russell Wilson is looking for him, and they're realizing that, hey, I can just throw it up to this guy and he'll make a play for me. And so they're figuring out that they don't have to put Jimmy Graham into a box. Hey, you got to do this, you got to do that. He's not a cookie cutter type of tight end. You let this guy go out there and make plays, and he will make plays for you. They're figuring that out, and they're starting to get him the football, and he's starting to become a bigger part of this Seattle Seahawks offense. Seattle's defense, the physicality more specifically in the first half, was on display. They were hitting guys. The Falcons, I didn't think were ready for that type of intensity, that kind of physicality. I didn't think they matched it. And the Seahawks jumped on them early in this game and jumped out to a 14-3 lead and had control of this game at one point. And it seemed like the Falcons were in danger of getting blown out of this game because I felt like the level of intensity was a little bit too much for the Falcons to handle. But they settled in, did the Falcons, and they made some plays, and they turned this thing around. And it's amazing what one half of football can do for you, because Seattle was dominating this game in the first half. And the Falcons didn't have any answer for their offense at one point. The defense wasn't that bad, but they didn't have any answers for Seattle offensively. And from a offensive standpoint, Matt Ryan and his crew, they weren't struggling, but the moment seemed a little too big for them. You know, guys not making plays. They're taking shots. They're dropping the football. Again, the level of physicality turned up a notch, and I didn't think they were necessarily ready for that in the first half. That would change in the second half. Trust me. We'll get to those changes a little bit later on. Let's get to the dislikes for the Atlanta Falcons in the first half. And for me, it wasn't necessarily on the defensive side of football. It was more on the offensive side. Even though the Seattle Seahawks had a little bit of success offensively and scored some points in that first half, it was more about the offense, because to me, that's where the Falcons are going to hang their hat. Their defense is going to play off of their offense. And if the offense is out scoring points, this defense is going to feed off of them, and they're going to play better. But they weren't playing good football offensively in the first half. They were 0 for 6 on third downs. And that's not Atlanta Falcons football. They have been dominant up until this point on third downs this season, converting at a very high rate. And when they didn't convert on third downs, guess what? They were converting on fourth down. So this was a team that was extending drives, scoring points, making big plays in the passing game, getting chunk plays. They weren't running the football with any effectiveness in the first half. And I think that 0 of 6 on third down is indicative of the struggles that they had on first and second down, setting up third and manageable situations. And again, to me, that speaks to this moment in this game just being a little bit more elevated in terms of the intensity. I didn't think the Falcons realized what they were walking into. Seattle can be a very intimidating place, especially if you haven't been there before. And for some of these guys, that's their first trip there. A lot of these young guys, not used to that environment. So it takes some getting used to. And it took them about a half of football to react to what was going on. But once they figured it out, they were a different animal in the second half. Let's get to the Seahawks. First half dislikes. Jeremy Lane dropped an interception. And I'm not going to kill him for this one because it wasn't necessarily an egregious drop. You get a receiver with a chance to make a play on the ball. He gets hit. Ball bobbles up. Earl Thomas gets his hands on it. Then Jeremy Lane gets his hands on it. And it was kind of a bobble fest. And you would like to see him pick that off, but it was still a tough grab. Like 3 different guys had their hand on the ball at that point. To ask a guy to catch it cleanly after it's been bobbled by 2 other players, I mean, it's tough to ask, but you would like to see Jeremy Lane come down with that football. And then the injury to Christine Michael, I thought he was done for the day. I thought he had a concussion. He got rocked on a play. He gets up a little wobbly and woozy. I'm like, okay, he's done. I didn't see him for the rest of the first half, but magically he reappeared in the second half, so he must have passed through the concussion protocol. Let's get to the second half likes. We go back to the Atlanta Falcons. Opening drive of the second half showed me all I needed to know. It showed me that this team wasn't going to punk down. They weren't going to bitch up. They were going to stand up to the Seattle Seahawks in this football game. And the intensity wasn't going to be too big for them. They had adjusted. They were ready. And they were about to go out and play some football. And that they did. The first 2 possessions of the second half told a vastly different story as to what Falcons team we were going to get in the second half. They come out in the second half, they go right down the field, and they go get in the end zone. And it was beautiful, and it looked like the Falcons offense that we have seen all season long. They get the football back again, and they go right back down the field. They score another touchdown, and all of a sudden, these boys are rolling on the offensive side of the football. And I put in my notes, matching the intensity. Now, all of a sudden, the defense is out hitting. I mean, they were coming up, and they were slaying guys. All of a sudden, now these linebackers are running with these receivers. I saw Jones, Deion Jones, in the end zone breaking up a play with the wide receiver. I said, okay, these boys have acclimated themselves to this environment. It is no longer too big for them. They figured it out. They've got their foot in the door and they know what to do now. And they're about to kick it down. They started playing football. And Julio started getting free. And all of a sudden, things started happening for this Falcons team in this football game. Big plays started to be made, like the touchdown pass to Levine Toilolo down the sidelines. Once things start going for you and guys start getting open, then you start making big plays, and the Falcons started to do that. Finally, he's back. He is back. Natty Ice. He's as cold as ice. He's willing to sacrifice. Matty Ice is back. The man was on fire in this game, man. Fire this time around, Styles. He turned it up. And when they needed him the most in that second half, I saw it in his eyes, man. I saw it in his eyes. The man was cold as ice. That stare he gave me chills. I said, welcome back, Matty Ice. He said, it's good to be back, Louie T. What's up? Game recognized game. Matty Ice is looking damn familiar. Brings back memories of 2012. Welcome back, Matty Ice. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Y'all welcome back, Matty Ice. The man is back like cooked crack. After the Levine Toilolo touchdown, the Falcons, all of a sudden, 3 touchdowns in the second half. And just like that, they took a 17-3 deficit and spun it into a 21 or 24-17 lead. Those boys were rolling. 3 touchdown passes for Matty Ice, all in the second half. The man was unconscious. Blocking the PAT. That was huge. Because at that time, after the block point after attempt, you're up 1 and it's getting late, man. It's getting late. Why you gotta be here? It was getting late. And now you block that PAT, you up 1. I'm like, And these boys not playing around. They trying to win. And even so, let me know they won't playing around was the fact that after they blocked that PAT with about 3-4 minutes left in the game, these boys weren't trying to run out the clock. They weren't going up there. We're gonna hand the football off. We're gonna do what the playbook says right here. Run the football and make them use their timeouts. They came out slinging the rock, man. Matt Ryan was hitting boys like, man, let's put these dudes down now. And if he was just a hair more accurate, and you can still put that on Julio, if you won't, I won't, because that ball was stretched out there kind of far. He was exposed a little bit. Have I seen Julio catch that football before? You damn right I have. Do I expect him to catch that? You damn right I do. But can Matt Ryan make a better pass? Absolutely. You damn right he can. And he didn't there, and he left that football out there just a little bit too much. It gets tipped, carom off of Julio Jones's hands and into the waiting arms of one Earl Thomas. And that was a big play in the game because, of course, Seahawks would then take that football and get a field goal to take the lead. Late game execution, I thought that the way that the Falcons handled the clock late in this game was masterful. The way they used their timeouts, the way they set it up so that they would get the football back with ample amount of time, with a couple of timeouts in their back pocket and a chance to steal this game. I thought the clock management was excellent. Everything was flawless. They were in a position to win this football game. And you could argue that one call potentially stopped them from doing that. We'll get there a little bit later on. But again, don't blame the officials. If Matt Ryan doesn't throw that pick, if Julio Jones catches that football, we're probably not having this discussion. My mantra is don't put the officials in a position to be able to affect the outcome of the game. You don't have those other plays that happen. You don't have a situation where the lack of a flag could be the outcome of a game. You go to the Seattle Seahawks in their second half likes the drive to cut the deficit to 1. All right. They're down 24-17. They're reeling, okay? Those boys went out there, all right, and put up 21 in the second half. The Seahawks don't know what the hell hit them. They came out in the first couple of rounds, and they were throwing flurries, and they were out there lighting the Falcons up. Falcons on the corner with their hands on their head, just trying to make it through the round. They sit down on the stool and they're like, I don't know if I can do it. And the trainer's like, wake up, man. We got this. Pour a little water on their head. Get out there and fight, man. And they came back in the second half of that fight, and they were out there giving it to the Seahawks. They got the Seahawks on the ropes. Now, they're an aggressive team. Seahawks are now on their heels in this game. And Russell Wilson put together a drive along with the run game, takes them down the field, gets them into the end zone. They had given up 21 unanswered points. Those boys were on the ropes. And they went down and got a critical score that they thought was going to be good enough to tie this game up. Instead, the extra point is blocked. But that was an important drive because without it, the Falcons may run away with this game. Getting into field goal range for the game-winning field goal. So after the interception, they weren't in field goal range yet. They still had some work to do. And Stephen Hauschka had already missed in this game. Okay, now the high snap may be to blame for that, but he had already missed, and he had an extra point block, so nothing was guaranteed. They needed to get a lot closer than where they were. And on 3rd down and 2, Russell Wilson makes one of those dangerous Russell Wilson type plays where he's scrambling outside the pocket, the defense sucks up, and there is rookie running back Alex Collins out there by his lonesome, and Russell just gently throws it over the defense on 3rd and 2. He catches it, runs for about 12 yards, and that was the difference there. That got him in the field goal range. They were able to get a little bit closer, and Stephen Hauschka was able to put it through the uprights to give them the 26-24 lead. Like I said, great execution of the clock by head coach, by Falcons head coach. His name escaped me that quickly. But great execution by Dan Quinn. by stopping the clock pre-time, 2-minute warning and all that good stuff, it gave the Falcons the best opportunity to move into field goal range without having to rush. There's a difference between hurrying up and rushing. When you rush, you make mistakes. When you hurry up, you're able to speed up the tempo, but you're still taking your time and making sure that everything's right. And so they were in a great position to steal this game. We're the Falcons, and then you get the ominous non-call. Let's get to the dislikes in the second half for both teams. Eric Weems fair catching the football at the 3-yard line. What the hell are you doing, buddy? What are you doing? What are you doing? You know the rules to the game. You put your heels on the 10-yard line. Okay, this is the rule. This is the old rule. This goes back to the 1970s. All right? You put your heels on the 10-yard line as a return man. Right? If the football goes over your head, guess what? You don't touch it. If it downs at the 1, great kick by the punter. You salute him and you take your ass to the sidelines. You don't run inside the 5 and say, all right, I'm going to catch this at the 3 and actually catch it. I thought he was faking. I thought he was playing. I said, oh, he about to okie doke these boys. He about to act like he about to catch this and then run out the way. No. Good old Eric Weems was dead ass serious. I'm about to catch this at the 3. What? What? Matty Ice picked off by Earl Thomas led to the game-winning field goal. I've already discussed that play, went over it. It's a play that I'm pretty sure if Matt had to do over again, he would have thrown that football slightly in a little bit more so that he didn't have to extend so far out for it. That was a good decision. It was a good place to go with the football there. He was open. Just threw it out a little too wide in front of him. Too far out in front of him, made him have to stretch out for it. And the way Earl was hitting dudes at that point in the game, you don't want to leave a guy out there exposed because now you're thinking, hey, is somebody coming to blaze me real quick? I might have to take a little peek-see, and then that could turn out to be a ball that caroms off my hands, and that's what happened on that particular play. The pass interference non-call on Dick Sherman. Wow. This was pretty egregious, man. And, you don't know where the officials are on a play like this, what they're looking at, if they're in the right position to see what's going on, because it was a nice little subtle, let me grab your arm and make sure you only get one arm to attempt at this football. But, let's be real here. If a guy, generally speaking, if a guy goes up, a receiver goes up for the ball with one hand, there's a reason why. Nobody says, well, I'm a beast, and I've been practicing this all pregame long, the old one-hand grab. I'm Odell Beckham pregame, and I'm just catching it one hand in the air. I'm going to do it in the game. Nobody goes out and says they're going to do that because it's not smart. Why use one hand when you can use two, right? So if the ball's in the air and you see a guy go up like this and they can get two hands up and catch it, generally that means the other arm is being occupied by the defender. Generally speaking, that's what that means. And Dick Sherman was absolutely molesting Julio Jones on that play. I've seen guys have to spend the weekend in lockup for that. I've seen guys do it. Okay? I've seen guys do 5 to 10 for what he did on that play. Assault is what that's called. In most states. Aggravated assault. Okay? I've seen dudes get 25 to life for that. Aggravated assault means you used a weapon in addition to assaulting somebody. He got away with one there, man. Got away with one, man. That was some home cooking if I've ever seen it. That's pass interference. And Dan Quinn went postal. And he had every right to go postal. Veins was popping out of that man's head I never seen before. You can have a vein right there? Yeah. Dan had veins popping out all over. I was like, hey, somebody get him before one of those blood vessels burst. He was going nuts. But he should have, because that was pass interference. And that's the difference between winning that game and losing that game. And it's a shame it came down to that. And you know how in basketball, late in the ball game, officials love to swallow the whistle? Look, man, if it's a foul, it's a foul. I don't care if it's 5 seconds left in the game or it's 5 minutes into the game. If it's a foul, it's a foul. Same thing here, man. I don't really give a damn if it's late in the game, fourth quarter, fourth down, or if it's the first quarter, first possession, first down. If it's a foul, if it's a pass interference, if it's a penalty, throw the flag, man. That deserved to have a flag thrown on it. Let's go to the Seahawks and their dislikes for the second half. Russell Wilson misses Tyler Lockett on 3rd and 3. He was wide open, and Russ airmailed him on this one. And you never know what could have happened if he hits him there. What happens with that drive moving forward? Who knows? Michael Bennett's injury, hyperextension of his knee. He's a huge part of what they do defensively. And hopefully it's not a serious injury because he's one guy they can ill afford to lose up front. A lot of people don't talk about the impact that Michael Bennett has on that defense, but he's one of those unsung heroes that without him, this defense does not run as smoothly as it does. The Seahawks defense is on my dislikes list in the second half. They went from being on the likes list in the first half, dominating, only giving up 3 points, to on the dislikes list in the second half. They were scorched. A lot of big plays given up. Julio! Over a bucket, some change. Huge touchdown grab down the sideline. Where the hell was the defense on that one? How about the Levine Toilolo touchdown? Where the hell were they at on that one? Man, there was some bust in coverage in Seattle. Reminded me of last year's Seattle's defense at the beginning of the season when those boys were busting coverages left and right and giving it up. Remember that Seattle Seahawks defense? That hasn't been the case this year, but damn it if this game didn't look like that. So defense was piss poor, pathetic. You never want to be the triple P's defensively. Piss poor, pathetic in the second half. Missed chip shot field goal by Steven House Money Hoshka. Normally, he doesn't miss. The snap was high. That may have thrown him off, but normally he's still money, and he wasn't on that particular kick. And in a game where you win by 2, that could have cost them later on in the game. And, of course, having the extra point blocked, that loomed large. If the Falcons don't turn it over with the interception, you may lose because of that extra point. And that was a huge turn of events. Great job by the Falcons to get in there and block that extra point. It was the difference in the game at the time at 24-23, almost allowed the Falcons to escape with a 1-point victory. Banana in the tailpipe. For those of you who think that the Falcons are liable to do what they did last year, start hot, flame out, I'm not falling for that banana in the tailpipe. These boys are serious, man. These boys are legit. And unless they have some kind of catastrophic, freaky injury, these boys are legit. I'm telling you right now, they're going to win that division, and they're going to be a relatively high seed in the NFC playoffs if they continue to play the type of football I've seen them play over the last 3 weeks. This loss was just as, if not more so, impressive than the ass whoopings they dished out in the division and the win last week at Denver. No one likes to hear about a loss because a loss is a loss. But I'm telling you right now, they were down in this game. See, it's easy to front run, okay? It's easy when you up ahead and you're winning the whole game. It's easy to front run. You know what really takes the heart of a champion? When you down 17-3. When you getting your ass handed to you at the halftime break. And then you come out and you blaze those boys in the second half. In an environment like Seattle at CenturyLink. That takes a real team to do that. This Falcons football team, I seen some young boys coming of age. It's time to come up, hold up my weight, defend my crown. Got to lock it down. These boys was locking it down. I seen some young boys out there flying around. These Falcons ain't playing around, man. They dead ass serious. It's not a game. So I'm not falling for the banana in the tailpipe of, oh, the Falcons flamed out last year and they started hot, but they're not that good and they're going to do what they did last year. I'm not falling for that banana in the tailpipe. These boys are legit. And as for the Seattle Seahawks, saw a couple of chinks in the armor. Defensively, saw some breakdowns. Not falling for the banana in the tailpipe that this defense is not the same defense I've seen all season long that was dominant. They just ran into an offense that's legit. Seahawks are still nasty defensively, and it wouldn't shock me if they went right into Arizona next week and did damage. Because that offense doesn't look right in Arizona right now. This Falcons offense, however, one of the best in the league. So I'm not falling for the banana in the tailpipe that they're going to start giving it up to teams defensively like they were last year. I think this was an aberration because the Falcons are just that damn good. So let's go to your comments, man. Let's see if you guys got something to say before we get out of here. And I want to check Twitter quickly. Pretty sure there's no heat on Twitter, but I like to do my due diligence. So I'm going to go ahead and check Twitter quickly, swiftly, and effective and efficiently. Now, after I do that, we're going to jump into some of your comments. And I'm going to check my mentions real quick just to make sure, nobody was reckless with their comments. And I actually missed some comments on my other shows. Shame on me. But in any event, let's jump into your comments. All right. Nick Riley says, Falcons got screwed over. Sherman clearly had Julio on the arm on that last play. Clearly PI, no doubt. Officials missed that one. And I'm pretty sure you know what's going to happen. Those boys going to send out a memo to the Falcons. Hey, we missed one at the end of the game. We're sorry. Great. Thanks. We appreciate that. Really helps us right now. BE says, man, that Larry versus Revis and P21 versus Marshall matchups were nice. They were nice on Monday Night Football tonight. Nick Riley says, refs got some weird-ass love story with Seattle, always helping them out. It's just weird out there, man. You go out there and you can get caught up in the emotions. Or maybe they just like, man, if we make the wrong call out here, we might not make it out of the stadium. These guys are crazy out here. You never know what they thinking. Captain Spartan 04 says, is something going on in Seattle? Because seriously, it seems like they win a lot of games with some questionable calls, non-refs, calls by the refs. I don't know, man. I don't know. It's a track record starting to really form. You got the replacement refs in Green Bay that night. You got the batted ball out of the back of the end zone versus the Lions. You got this. I mean, it's really starting to become a trend now. I don't know. Aries Falcon says, what do you think about the Falcons? What do you think the Falcons record would be at the end of the year? Hard to predict. I'd have to actually look at their schedule and tell you, but this is a damn good football team. I don't know what their schedule looks like, and I don't know what teams you have to play. I can tell you this much, that you're going to be favored in a lot of games that you're playing the remainder of the season. This team is that good. So this team is a double-digit win team again, unless they just fold up the tent or they have a major injury that really restricts them. This is a double-digit winning team. 11-5, not out of the question. 10-6, I think that's easy money for this team if they continue to play the way they played the last month of football. 10-6, do that with your eyes shut. 11-5, 12-4, then you get into that upper echelon discussion in the NFC. And I could easily see this Falcons team putting in that kind of work. Nolan Pratt says, Cheat Hawks get away with another one thanks to the refs. #rigged. Sean Mack says, I knew that something would happen for Seattle to win this game. And you were right. Delilah HD says, need to give Matt Ryan his E. I already gave it to him, man. He's Matty Ice. Ice, baby. He's back. I already welcomed that man back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. He's back like cooked crack. Y'all welcome back Matty Ice. The man is back. Captain Spartan 04 says, why am I not hearing Thomas Rawls' name? Is he hurt? Yes, he's still hurting. Nick Riley says, man, Matt Ryan has been on his game this year. You got to give Matty Ice nickname back. Hands down, top 3 quarterback right now. I already did it. And I'm assuming these comments came before I rechristened him Matty Ice, man. The man, he's cold as ice in that football game, man. He was blazing those boys. Love what I saw. BE says, can I get a Julio? Julio! Sean Mack says, you crack me up, bro. Nick says, LOL, you said Matty Ice because ain't in here, LOL. You want to hear him go crazy. There's that cook crack again. You tweaking. I've been saying that. You just catching on. That's all. That's all. And with that said, man, looks like that's all the comments. I may have one more that I might have missed. Let me go back and check. Miguel Franco says, Matty Ice MVP. I'm going to tell you right now, if the MVP voting went in today, he'd be your MVP of the league. That's a fact. Kevin Scheel says, I finally made it to one of your Seahawks podcasts. Hopefully you didn't just get here because I am done. So we'll see though. Man, what a game this was. And my sister, she called me. She was irate. I told you she's a Falcons fan. She was irate. And she said, you know what? I want these boys again. I want to see these boys in the playoffs again. That would be great. Now, as long as it doesn't come at the expense of my boys, I'm all for it, man. Have at it. This was a classic, and I'd love to see it happen and go down again, man. And these two teams are going to be around come January. I can assure you of that. Again, barring any catastrophic injuries to major players at major positions, these two teams are going to be back around in January, and they may link up once again because these are two of the better teams in the NFC. I'm not leaving your boys out in Minnesota. They're among the best right now. They are the best in the NFC, the best the NFC has to offer right now. But these are among the best teams in the league, so especially in the NFC conference and that side of the bracket. So it's early. It's really early. A lot of work to be done on both sides of these two teams. Falcons can make some improvements to be better, and I expect them because they have a young defense. I expect them to get better. But this was a really well-played football game by both teams involved. And Seahawks got a big one coming up on Sunday. They can't pat themselves on the back too much. They got to head to Arizona and try to get a win there. If they get a win against the Arizona Cardinals, that could really put this division out of reach because no one expects the Los Angeles Rams to really be a serious threat to them. The Cardinals are that one team that could make this race in the NFC West a viable one. If they want to put them to sleep early, go into Arizona, do those boys, lay them down nice and easy, come out of there with a W, and the division is all yours. It is all yours. For the Atlanta Falcons, that was their toughest stretch of football right there. They just went through Murderer's Row. Home for Carolina, at Denver, at Seattle. It doesn't get much tougher than that. And they got through it. So if they can get through that, they can get through any portion of their schedule now. We'll see what happens moving forward. So, with that being said, that's going to do it for this edition of Lockdown Coverage. Seattle Seahawks win the game 26-24. Controversial fashion, but they got the job done. They go to 4-1 on the season. Falcons drop to 4-2, but they have nothing to hang their heads about. This was a well-played football game down to the end. They'll see what happens with these two teams moving forward. If it happens in the National Football League, whether big or small, we cover it all here in the lab room. Come back and join your man Louie T on Wednesday for Louie T Live. Remember, we're changing the game one live feed at a time. I see a couple more comments. I'll read those on my way out. Kevin Skeel says, hey, I'll admit, bad no call on the fourth down toss. Captain Spartan 04 says, Matty Ice gets his name back, but A-Rod temporarily losing his. Yeah, man, he's struggling right now. I'm going to cut him a little slack. Nolan Pratt says, Matty Ice looking great. Falcons might have the best offense in the league right now. I would have to agree with that. Kevin Skeel says, but they don't tend to call PI on Hail Mary passes. That wasn't much of a Hail Mary. That was actually an attempt to go down the field to Julio Jones, who is a big play threat down the field. DZ99 Shooters XX says, Falcons or Chargers next week. You'll find out when I give you my picks on Wednesday night. And Aries Falcons hold on, I think I just skipped a couple more. Blackbird Blitz says, sorry I was late tonight of all nights. Thanks for keeping your word about Matt Ryan and his nickname. Hey, look, man, you ain't got to ever worry about me not keeping my word. My word is my bond. That's all I got. So if I tell you I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. You ain't got to worry about that. And with that being said, Aries Falcons says, 2 weeks, Packers at home, thoughts. That's a winnable football game. You seen the Packers lately? I'm going to leave you with that. And with that, I say adios to you guys. Thank you for hanging with me, man. It's 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. For most of you, you got work in the morning. Get out of here. Get you some rest, man. I appreciate you guys hanging in with your man, Louie T, breaking this one down. I see you guys on Wednesday. Have a good one. Get you some rest, man. Go get y'all some sleep. I'm out.